Hey, good morning, folks. Hi. Oh, it is 9:01. I was going to say we still got a bit of time, but it's actually past time. Sometimes I feel like just as people are filtering in, I should be like an entertainer. Like I should tell jokes or something like that, just so as people, like entertainment as people filter into the event.
I agree with that 100%.
You want some jokes? I feel like I did hear some good jokes this week, but I forgot them. I always forget them. Does anyone have any good jokes out there? You can also, if you want to, this might be fun. You can type a joke privately and I will read it to the class. But also if you have a joke, yeah, Ruben, do you have a joke this morning?
I have so many jokes, but like I can never remember them when they ask me. Like
I know.
if it's like just me thinking of it, super easy. But then somebody's like, "Tell me a joke," and I'm like, "I can't."
I know exactly how it is. Like I feel like I try to store away those good. I like it. There's something about a good knock knock joke that I really appreciate. I know knock knock jokes are kind of like, well, I don't know. They appeal to all ages. Maybe I'll say that. But yeah, world's best knock knock joke. Let's see. You guys ready for this? World's best knock knock joke. Oh well, here's 40 ridiculous knock knock jokes. No. No. Oh, this one's good. You ready? But I need someone to do the who's there and stuff.
I got you.
Okay, thank you, Ruben. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Etch.
Etch who?
Bless you.
I saw that coming as soon as I heard
yeah,
etch.
Etch you. All right.
Oh wait, here I have one. So
Okay,
knock knock joke. Okay, so knock knock.
Me? Who's there?
Broken pencil.
Broken pencil. Who?
I was gonna tell you a joke about a broken pencil, but it's pointless.
Because it's broken. That's good. I like that. That's a thinker. I like the jokes that's a thinker. Oh, here's one from a anonymous source in your class. Hey guys, why do you never see hippos hiding in trees? Because they're so good at it. I like that. That's funny. I didn't have the second line of that joke before, so it could have been like a real inappropriate joke or something, and I would have been right in the middle of it. No, I'm sure no one would feed me a inappropriate joke. All right, folks, good morning. It's really good to see you. We didn't see you last week. I hope that you had a good last week. We're coming up to the end of the year here pretty soon. Do you know when, like, are there many students here that have like face-to-face classes with RCOA in addition to live stream and the online courses? Face-to-face. Do you know when those face-to-face classes end?
I want to say, I think the first, I want to say the first Thursday in June.
Okay, all right. So it's, and can anyone else, do they have other information for their own classes or anything? That means that you've kind of got this week, next week, the week after that, 4 weeks until those live stream classes end. For this class, we've got this week, no class next week again, and then classes the week after that. All right, and that brings us to the end. After that, there will be like a small, I'm going to introduce a project to you soon, and then you'll have a bit of time to work on that. So you'll have a bit of stuff to do after classes end, but no exam, maybe a final quiz for this chapter, this finance chapter. But yeah, kind of almost like a final project, if you will, right? That has to do with finance, not the whole course. But I'm just curious. I wanted to ask you folks if you had if you've given some thought to what you would like to do for your math course next year. Are folks out there planning on taking pre-calculus 11 or workplace mathematics or foundations? Foundations is kind of like if we think about like the abstractness of math and maybe the difficulty level. Pre-calculus might be that top most difficult one, foundations in the middle, and then workplace mathematics, the more practical, less difficult, perhaps, course. So yeah, I'm curious from you whether you've given it some thought. Do you know which course you are, or any math course? Do you know which math courses you're planning on taking next year?
Well, at DCS, I'm going to probably take workplace.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
Because I'm going to one of the private schools over here, MEI, and I'm going to be taking pre-calculus.
Okay. Yeah. And anyone else? I'm just curious, if you wouldn't mind, if you don't mind sharing, you can share it privately in chat as well. So Ruben, are you going to DCS like full-time next year? All right. Well, that'll be fun. DCS is a great school. All right. So folks, today, so yeah, like I wanted to just kind of introduce, if you haven't, I'm sure you've already thought about it, or I'm sure many of you have already thought about which class you want to be in next year. Pre-calculus, can anyone explain like, or can you share your thoughts about like what taking pre-calculus 11 and 12 is good for? You know, it's not good for everyone, but what is it good for? Pre-calculus 11 and 12. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. No, that's not true. Pre-calculus 11 and 12. If you are planning on going into any sciences or math at the university level, you probably should be taking pre-calculus 11. You almost definitely should be taking pre-calculus 11, and should perhaps take pre-calculus 12. Kind of depends on the program. But yeah, sciences and math at the university level, you should really be thinking about pre-calculus 11. And even like medicine. So if you're planning on being like anything in the field of medicine. For nurses, I'm not 100% sure. You'd want to just look into that if you're hoping to be a nurse. Yeah, look into the program requirements. All right. So, folks, today we're really talking about taxes some more. I know that for some of you this might seem kind of boring, but it's valuable. Okay, and this also gives you information about how your taxes are calculated. Right, when you get a paycheck and taxes are taken off every paycheck, how is that calculated? And additionally, of course, we all have the responsibility at the end of the tax year to do our taxes, which means filling out the tax forms or paying someone $100 to do it for us, filling out the tax forms and mailing them away and seeing if we've paid too much over the year or if we haven't paid enough. Tax brackets. So have you heard this term before, tax brackets? I have a pen. Tax brackets. Is that familiar? I'm trying to judge. Okay, a little bit. Tax brackets are used to help calculate how much tax a person must pay. And I think it's kind of easiest just to see this in action, see how these tax brackets work. So just out of curiosity, I went into Indeed.ca and I looked up jobs in Victoria. So there's this security officer job that I found. Look at this, no experience necessary. Meaning you guys could apply for this job, maybe. Well, you could apply for it for sure.
Except I'm pretty sure you have to have the security officer's training course. It's like 2 days.
Oh, okay. Basic security training, a valid security license, and first aid training are considered assets. Okay, so they're saying assets. So maybe you, anyway, they probably will hire someone with those things. But let's take a look here. We've got $15 to $16 an hour. Let's assume that it is $16 an hour. Okay, $16 an hour. What would be the annual income of this security officer job? Can you guys calculate that, please? Come up with a number. What would be the annual income of this job? Go for it. Take a minute. If you'd rather give me directions on how to calculate it, I could do that too.
Can't you not calculate it because it depends on how many hours you work?
Sure, it does. So, so we might have to make an assumption, right? Our assumptions are, let's say that it is FT, full-time, right? How many hours a week is that?
I think 40.
Yeah. Which a lot of people say is actually too many hours for people to work in a week. Well, some people say that. Okay, so one assumption, working 40 hours a week. Okay. All right. How many weeks in a year?
52.
52. Who said that?
I did.
Wait, hold on. I got to scroll down. Oh, that was Evan. All right. Thanks, Evan. Yeah, 52 weeks in a year. Evan, did you get new glasses? Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
Looks good. All right. 52 weeks in a year. So basically, now we have all the info that we need to calculate the gross income of this security officer job. Can anyone tell me what they calculated? Okay, so I've got here between 30,000 and 32,000, depending on vacation, right? So if perhaps if they take, maybe we're assuming like 2 weeks of vacation would result in this amount. So so yeah, let's say this is kind of the maximum if he's not working, if this person's not working overtime, $32,000. Okay. How do we calculate that? Well, very straightforward. We're going $16 an hour times 52, well, okay, 40 hours a week times 52 weeks in a year. Okay, so we're getting just a little bit more than this number, but let's stick with 32. Okay, so let's move on. So there are these things called tax brackets. 32,000 is what we're making here, 32,000. And we have federal tax brackets and provincial tax brackets. Okay, so you have to pay federal tax and provincial tax. And this is information. It's a table that's summarized from the Government of Canada website, telling us what your tax rates for 2019 are. So all this information here has been summarized in this table here. All right, that's fine. So we have this amount, 32,000. This is saying, this chart here is saying that on the first $47,630 that a person makes, they are paying, I know it says other income here, but they are required to pay 15% of that to federal taxes, right? Taxes to the federal government. If someone starts making over $47,630, anything above that amount starts getting taxed at a higher rate, starts getting taxed at 20.5%. So let's say you, well, let's do our calculation here. We want to find this is a simplified calculation, but we want to find the tax that this person would owe in a year. And so to do that, we take that total amount, 32,000, and we simply multiply it by the tax rate as a decimal number, right? So that's 0.15, okay, 0.15. We can do that in our Desmos calculator here. And we get the amount of $4,800, right? $4,800 taxes that you owe to the Canadian government. There's some other things that get worked into the calculation that we're going to go over. All right, let's have a look at BC tax brackets. Okay, so they're different. This information is gathered from the British Columbia website for taxes. And they're a little bit different, but we're still falling just in that lowest tax bracket. So let's now calculate BC tax. What am I going to multiply this amount by? 32,000 times what? What's the tax rate for this?
5.06.
5.06, right? 5.06%. Some calculators will understand if you go 5.06 and then if they have a percent button, you can press that. If we want to put it into decimal form, then that looks like 0.0506. Okay. So we can go ahead and do that calculation here. I'm just going to back this up, 0.506. And we get $1,619.20. All right. So according to our calculations, at the end of the year, this person here, the security job person, will owe this to federal taxes and this to provincial taxes. Good so far, right? Makes sense. We're just doing simple calculations. Now, if we have some sort of job, are there any questions? Any questions here? Okay, we're adding complexity to this as we go. Okay, what we just did, there's some things that actually help us pay less taxes than what we just calculated. So we're going to see that momentarily. But first, let's talk about a job that pays more. All right, we've got this junior facilitator job. I think I turned this into a link, but at some sort of health clinic. So this is definitely not a job that you folks would be qualified for. But here we have a pay of $40 to $55 an hour. Let's kind of pick something in the middle. Let's say that we're making $50 an hour. We're going to assume full time again. Let's see if we can calculate what that annual salary would be. All right, see if you can calculate that annual salary. And if you got it, if you put it into Desmos, sorry, not into Desmos. If you put it into chat here, or if you want to just say it out loud, that would be, hey, you can also annotate on the screen. Annual gross annual income. All right. Thank you, Evan. So we've got $104,000, right? $104,000. Not an insignificant amount of money, right? That's a very, very nice annual income. Oh, I'd like to keep going here, please. Okay, so we've got 104,000. Of course, we're calculating that by going $50 an hour times 40 hours a week times 52 weeks in a year. And so, yeah, that's making certain assumptions based on how much this person will work. All right. So, so let's head back to this year, the federal tax brackets. This person has made $104,000 in a year, let's say. Well, the first $47,630, the first bracket of this is taxed at 15%. So if we do that calculation, we're taking that $47,630. That's kind of the maximum that that we can almost fit into that bracket, right? That cheaper bracket. We're multiplying that by 0.15%. I'm going to start doing some of these calculations just off screen so we can try to keep it a little more organized. We get $7,144.50. Now, after that, we have to determine how much money is left, right? So we're going. We can see that, yeah, we're going to exceed this amount here, right? We're going to exceed $95,000. So let's find out how much money. It's like we're trying to fit this money into these different brackets, right? How much money is that? We go 95,259 minus 47,630. And I believe, because I saw this number before, this number is 47,629. So that's the amount that is amount of money that we have in this tax bracket here. Okay, so this money is getting taxed at a higher rate. It's kind of a way for us to allow people with lower incomes to pay less tax, right? But now this amount here, we're paying a higher tax rate on this. It's 0.205, or sorry, 0.205. Yeah, that's what I said. And so we calculate that. And we get about $9,763.95. All right. Now, finally, we're going to have a little bit left in this last bracket. Let's do green here. Okay, we're going to have a little bit left in this last bracket. And so, well, the last bracket for us. And so to calculate that, well, we know that they've made $104,000 total. So how much money is in that tax bracket? Well, we take that total amount, $104,000. We're going to subtract that minimum amount. So that's $95,259 or 260. No, 59. Okay, we do that calculation nice and quickly here. And it's this amount of $8,741. Now, this amount is what they're paying. They're going to be paying that tax rate of 26% on this amount. So we take that, we multiply it by 0.26. And that's the amount that we see right here, the rate there. All right. And we can find our amount there. So that's 0.26. Okay, so that's $2,272.66. Okay, so now we see that this person is paying the sum of all of these amounts, right? That's the tax that they owe. So we can add up all those amounts there. I'll just do that calculation here quickly. $7,144.50 plus $9,763.95 plus 2,272.66. So that total is $19,181.11. Right? When after all is said and done, that's the amount that that this person should pay in taxes each year. Right? I want to make sure that that's fairly clear for you folks, right? We've got to split it up into those different brackets in order to calculate the amount of tax from each bracket. Are there any questions here that you'd like to ask? You know, this is my first year really teaching DL full-time, DL distributed learning. And so I know that there's a lot of different types of people out there that I'm teaching. And along with that is a lot of different, you know, you might have learned a little bit about this from your parents at some point before. Like, I know that some parents think it's really important that people your age understand this kind of stuff. So if you have learned about this kind of stuff before and you're learning about it again, you know, well, maybe I can say sorry, but also I hope that it's a good refresher for you. And for some of you, if it seems like this is just totally boring, I think it is important that you guys know about this kind of stuff. All right. So what we have done so far, we have calculated those annual incomes, those gross annual incomes, and we have said that that is all taxable, just to make things simpler, right? This is what we've said, that it is all taxable. However, there are some nice things where actually not all of your income is taxable, meaning that the government will say, all right, you know, this amount here, you don't have to pay taxes on that. That's income still, right? But you don't have to pay taxes on it. So when we check our gross income, we can, and before we calculate our taxes, we can subtract a few things from that. We're going to take this money and subtract a few things. Subtract an amount, subtract another amount, subtract another amount, and then we get something like this, right? Let's say we subtracted $14,000 and we end up with that. Well, that's really nice, right? That doesn't mean that you lost money. No, you still got paid that money, right? You still got paid this amount. But at the end of the year, when you're calculating taxes, the government kind of says, okay, you only have to pay taxes on this amount, the smaller amount, okay? And so this is what we call the taxable income. And if this number is smaller, that's nicer. It means you have to pay less, you have to pay tax on less, on fewer of the dollars that you made. That's an awkward way of saying that. Do you guys want to take a break right now? I saw, let's talk for just a little bit longer and then we'll take a break, okay? Maybe like 5 minutes. Sorry, Rachel's disappointed. All right, you can, every year when you're calculating your taxes, you can subtract something called the personal exemption amount. So I just clicked on the link to take us to a BC government website. BC Basic Personal Income Tax Credits. So basic personal amount, this is saying this amount here, $10,000, $10,682. This is the first thing that you'll subtract when you're calculating your taxable income. So this is basically saying that that amount of money that you earn, you're not going to be taxed on it. This also means if you make less money than this in a year, you're not paying any taxes, and you won't have to pay any taxes. You can see that there's a big list of these personal credits, right? Including spousal. So if you have a husband or wife, if they make less than $915 at their job. So basically, if they're at home, not working a job that gives them income, you can claim this amount. You can lower your income by that amount. So other things as well, right? Dependents. If you have children that don't work, right, you can claim a similar amount. And if you're retired, and so you can see there's lots of different things. Wow, there's lots. You will definitely encounter this one. You may encounter some of these. All right. So that's the first thing that you can subtract. So this person that made $104,000, actually what we should have done is first gone 104,000 and subtracted that 10,631, was it? You also, of course, we've calculated this before, you contribute, you pay every paycheck to CPP, Canada Pension Plan, and employment insurance, right? And I think this one was about 5% of your income, and this one maybe was a bit more variable. But those amounts, right, those amounts get subtracted as well. So let's say this person paid $7,000 to that, and let's say they pay $3,000 to this. My calculations don't make sense, but that's okay. That means that we're going to subtract that amount of money from our total income here, right? And if we do that, well, it doesn't matter. You can see that in front of you. We would have certainly less amount. That would be like 83,000. $369, I believe. Okay, and so now if you're using that as your taxable income, the amount that you calculate, the amount that you have to pay, will be less. All right. I'm kind of curious, like, okay, well, we'll talk a bit more after our break here. Let's do our break. Let's take our break. Set a timer for 7 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes. See you soon. Good break, guys? Did you have a good break?
Oh,
Were you
very.
talking about the tongue curling thing?
Yes.
Yeah, she can't do the taco with her tongue.
Nope. Or pretty much anything else. So.
Are you saying you can't do anything else? Is that what you...
Yeah, I can't do anything cool with my tongue. So.
Oh, I see. I see. With your tongue.
No, just anything.
Anything else?
Anything.
Okay, we are looking at page 289. I believe that's what it was. 289. Yeah. So this information is in your textbook. They are using tax rates from 2017. So a little bit different, right? Sorry, my cat is in the room and being a little mischievous. Maybe she's okay. Okay, so using tax rates that are a little bit different. They're also listing the personal amounts here for, look how they're similar, or sorry, look how they're different for federal and for BC. Okay, different amounts here, which means that whenever we're calculating taxes, we do have to do a series of calculations for federal and a series of calculations for BC. Down below that, this is information about how you calculate the Canadian pension rates and the employment insurance rates. Okay. So Actually, I'm trying to think. Maximum pensionable earnings minus your basic exemption. Maximum earnings on which contributions are made at a certain rate. So the important thing here is that we've got this rate here of 4.95%. But you can only pay you only pay CPP up to this amount. So once someone is making more than this, they've kind of maxed out on how much they can pay, and so they're definitely going to just pay this amount to CPP each year. So this maximum amount is important. We can kind of compare and we can say, hey, if Joe is making more than this, then we know he's only paying this much CPP. If they're making less than that, then we've got to do a calculation to find it. And then over here we have employment insurance, similar to over there, right? We've got a slightly different maximum amount. Here's our rate for the year of 2017. It's changed. Actually, it changed and then went back. This is what it is this year as well. And so maximum that someone could pay in a year is that amount. So you're going to be flipping back and forth to this page for some of your homework assignment. All right. So let's determine the federal and BC provincial tax for each income. So we're going to just we're going to see what they're doing at each step here. All right, folks. So let's scroll down just a little bit here. For this first one, for A, total income of $70,000. During the year, CPP and EI payments have been made. They're both tax deductible, meaning that we're going to subtract the amount that we paid. We don't have to pay taxes on it. So our taxable income here, look what we're doing. We're taking our maximum, our gross income there, okay? What is this amount? Where did that come from?
That's your like, each person just gets to keep that automatically.
Okay, it's that automatic thing. We call it the personal exemption amount or something like that. Exactly, right? So that's your personal amount there. Okay, great. Everyone will subtract that. How about this? What's this amount? You might have to look back to the previous page, right? Engage your brain, please.
That's your CPP.
That's that's going to be the CPP contributions for the year. We can see that it's maxed out because, of course, he's making more. If we go back to the previous page for a moment, he's making more. This person is making more than this maximum amount of $51,000. So he's maxed out at $2,564. Okay. And that last part there, this part that I'll highlight in red, I guess it kind of ends up being pink maybe. What's that?
Is that your EI?
Yeah, great. So that's the amount. That's the amount that that this person will pay to EI, right? So these amounts, they all get subtracted from that, giving us this taxable income. Taxable income, right? We call this a taxable income of $54,964.71. All right. Now, of course, we know that that amount there, that amount, the first 45,000, right? The stuff that is in that first bracket will be paid at the least amount. So we're scrolling back up. We're looking at our brackets, right? We see right here that anything that is between $0 and $45,916 will be paid at a tax rate of 15%. So we're heading back down here, lining things up. And so that amount there is this, right? We go 45,000, blah, 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 times 0.15. Now, they also have to pay taxes on the remaining, it looks like about $10,000, $9,000, right? What they've done is they've taken this number, subtracted this number from it to say, okay, we have $9,000 that we haven't paid taxes on yet. We pay that at the next tax bracket tax rate. And so that's $1,854.99. How has this person calculated that total there? Where does that total come from?
Adding the two tax pieces together, so 6,887 and 1,854.
Yeah, bingo. So we're adding this and this, right? So we're adding those two together to get that amount. So that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? That's just the federal. Now you've got to calculate the provincial as well. All right, this is a large part of what doing your taxes is, right? It can become more complicated when you've got other things to consider. But yeah, it's filling in the form that walks you through that. For the BC provincial income taxes, we just see that some of the amounts are different. The personal amount here is different. The CPP and EI are the same. But the tax brackets are different as well. We end up with a smaller number, a smaller amount to pay the taxes. So our total tax to be paid for this person is about $12,000. All right. So now remember, if you are, you might be throughout the year paying too much toward tax or too little. When tax season comes, you would get much of that back. I have a friend who he for many years as he was in university and doing other things, he didn't really he never really hit a very high amount for his annual income, but he never paid his taxes. He never took care of it, right? Or he never did his taxes. He got money subtracted every year, but he never had to, or he never did his taxes there. So after about 10 years, he finally he kind of took it into H&R Block, and he took in all his tax info, and they did all the calculations. And because his income was pretty low, at the end of that, from 10 years or so, he got a check from the government for 10 grand or something, right? But this, I mean, that seems kind of nice, but this is also money that he could have used, he could have invested, he could have used. Now, if it's the opposite, if you owe money to the government and you haven't done your taxes, then it becomes more serious. You'll start to get more letters from the government saying hey, you owe us money, right? You got to pay your taxes. And that becomes a crime, tax evasion. All right. So there you go. There's another example there. I think that's going to be it for our examples here. All right, folks. So I think we're ready to just kind of dive into a few questions. Questions are not too serious. Not serious. Yeah. 1 to 3 AC. Not A to C, but just AC. So 1 AC, 2 AC, and 3 AC. All right. And if you'll excuse me just for one moment. All right, folks, just as you're working, I'm going to chat about 2C a little bit here. I made a question about it. I encouraged you to try it a bit on your own. But yeah, if we've got this amount, we just have to be referring to that page with all our tax info on it over and over again, which is page, what is it, page? I'm going to grab it out here. This book. Oh, went past. Tax rates. 289, is it? 289. All that info on page 289. That's what you're going to use for all these questions. Right. So from our total amount here, we're going to subtract 3 things. Oh, I was going to say page 289. Okay, we're going to subtract 3 things. We're going to subtract, so this is for federal. That's what we'll start with. Federal. We're going to subtract 11,635. That's your personal amount, PA, personal amount. We are also going to subtract, in this case, we're going to subtract the maximum contributions. We compare 90,000 with the maximum earnings that can be calculated, which is 51,800. And we say, okay, 90,000 is greater than that. 90,000 is greater than that. So we're going to subtract the maximum amount, $2,564.10. This is your CPP. Okay. And then we're subtracting from that, one more color. We're subtracting from that our EI amount, which is going to be $836.19. Okay. So we go ahead and do that calculation, 90,000 minus all those amounts. And we end up with a taxable income. Taxable income of $74,964.71. Right? So this now, at this point, we take that and we look at our federal tax brackets here. And we realize that we're kind of going into these first two, right, for the federal tax there. I just want to make sure I'm answering the question. What did the question ask? Determine the amount of federal and yeah, okay. All right. So of course that first amount is in our first tax bracket is $45,916. That's being multiplied by the tax rate of 0.15. And we get an amount of what? Let's see. $6,887.40. This number will probably show up again as you do more federal tax numbers. So if you've got this number calculated somewhere else, you don't have to calculate it again, right? This is 45,916 times 0.05. The remainder is going to be the $74,964.71 minus what we've already paid in the first bracket, 45,916, right? So we can do that calculation. Okay, so that's $29,048.71. And that amount, my writing feels so messy lately. That amount is taxed at the next tax rate, which is 20.5. So 0.205. And if we do that calculation, we get $5,954.99. Right, so we have these two amounts for federal tax. We're going to add them together. Total federal, right? Total federal. Yeah, we add those two up. So we got that plus $6,887.40 is $12,842.39. So, so that's just federal. What you would have to do next is calculate provincial. So you do the same process for the provincial tax.
So
Okay.
is that like the fastest way to do it? There's no faster way. You have to do each step and go through like 4 lines of equations.
Kinda. Like there's, I guess you could kind of do, well, you still have to do all the subtraction and stuff.
Okay, I was curious if there was a faster way.
No, I think that's kind of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of questions that you have to do, but they're fairly time consuming if you haven't noticed.
I was checking one of my answers because I did it differently. I didn't subtract anything, and the book doesn't subtract PA, CPP, or EI. I don't know whether we're supposed to or not, whether you want us to. I'm guessing it would probably be better because it's more like real life for us to do that.
Yeah.
But the book doesn't do that at all. It just times the total number by the tax percentage.
Oh, Evan, you know what? You're right. You know what I missed? So folks, if you've done it this way, that's great. You can, if your answer is different from the back of the book, that's fine. You know what I mistakenly did? It tells you here, in this question, taxable income. So it's saying that $90,000, they've already done the subtractions to get to that $90,000. So this first step here, where I subtract, they're saying you don't have to do that. That's my mistake. Instead, you would use the taxable income of $90,000. So that's for 2, Evan. I think that's what is going on. Does that kind of match the back of the book then? Okay. If you've done it the way I've done it here, like I can't blame you. Don't worry about it. Just leave it as is or keep going with how you're doing it. I believe for 3 here, determine the amount of federal and BC provincial tax that must be paid on each gross income. So then this one is gross, right? Gross income. So you do have to do the CPP and EI. All right. All right, folks, at this point, I'd like to dismiss you from class. If you do have any questions, stick around and ask, but otherwise, I'll say enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on Wednesday or Thursday, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, folks.
Thanks.
You're welcome. See you later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
You're welcome, folks.